To come today to our May list to last session. I'm super excited to introduce to each of you Mr. Rick Dergan. Mr. Rick Dergan, I have had the pleasure of knowing for, if you can believe it, Rick, almost 16 years in my 16 and a half years at KW. And I have learned so much from you. I've watched you grow and have amazing business, not only in the market center, but also in your real estate sales business. And so that's what we want to learn about today. Rick is in our Marina Del Rey Keller Williams office, and he has a team there. Their team name is called Aria Properties. In 2020, their team did 70 million in closed sales volume, and year to date, again, just finishing 1/3 of the year, closed 25 million. So you are on pace, Rick, to outperform 2020. Amazing. So we want to know what you're doing, how you're doing it in this tight inventory market. And I don't know if you can unmute.
All right, I just unmuted. Yes.
All right.
First of all, thank you so much, Colleen. Number one is you shouldn't tell 15 years. It makes it sound really old.
Yeah.
It's only been like 5 years. So yeah, it's this first quarter has been crazy, and we're actually gonna pass that with what we have in our pipeline for second quarter. So my goal is 100 million. That's our goal. It's all over our team office. It's everywhere. We have to hit 100 million this year. So, and we will.
Yes, you will.
And so I'm very, very happy with our team. Our team consists of, we have about 5 buyer's agents, and we have a marketing person. We have a listing coordinator. And we also, what else do we have? And we have a couple of VAs working for us. So virtual assistants. So those really work well for us. Where do you want me to start?
Awesome. Well, first thing we want to know, because you're not far from where we are in Orange County, just in the LA market, how are you and your team, how are you winning more listings? How are you outpacing 2020? What are you doing? What do you find that's helping you secure those listings?
You know, I'll be honest with you. I think it's a lot of marketing. We do about 8,000 mailers a month. And we're in the supermarkets, on the shopping carts. We're at the checkout stands. We're on the wipes when you walk in, and now we're on a bus. So you can't miss us.
I've seen that bus, yes.
You cannot miss us. So I think most of it is consumer confidence on our brand. I think most people won't spend the money that we're spending right now, but we didn't start spending that kind of money in the beginning. And so what I did was, as we would get a listing from I'll be honest with you, our mailers have been the most amount of ROI that I've received. And as soon as I would get the money from that mailer, I'd increase our mailer. Instead of saying, oh, I made this money, I would reinvest it and say, okay, so now let's take it to 2,000 mailers a month. And sure enough, we'd get a call, and then we'd get a listing. And then when we close that, I go, great, let's go to 3,000. So now for every mailer that we send out, we probably get about 3 listings. That's what our number looks like. So,
and how often are you doing those mailers? One per month?
Well, we do about 1,000 a month to a certain building. I mean, 1,000 a week to a certain building. And then we do to the entire farm, we do once a month. And that's a total of 8,000. Amazing.
And I just want to pause there, because how long was it, or how long ago did you break into this market?
Yeah, so I hadn't sold, first of all, in 20 years. So I didn't even know how to start to get to selling again. And about 6 years ago, one of my friends told me, I'm like, where do I start? And he goes, just start in your backyard where you live. And I did. And all of a sudden I started to make sales. So that was about 6 years ago. And I picked a farm. And I think that's the most important. Even though I wasn't farming the whole farm, in that farm, there were 5,000 homes. So I'm like, I'm going to start with 1,000. And then I moved up to 2,000. And today I hit the whole farm. But that farm today, and I did a whole analysis of who owns the farm, how many transactions, I did all the turnover rate, I did the whole thing on the farm. And today we sell 2-to-1 to any other agent in that farm. So we have dominant market share in 6 years, which is pretty insane.
Congratulations, that's incredible. And that's what I wanted everyone to hear. You haven't been doing this for 30 years.
No. I just started and I didn't know what I was doing either.
Right, in a luxury market, yes.
In a luxury market, yeah. Our average sales price is about 1.5 million. And there were a lot of ready known name brands in the area that have been here for 20 years, killing it. And we just have delivered a different value proposition. And, you know, I'll be honest with you, now we're really picking up speed with Zavvy. I don't know if you have Zavvy in your office or not yet, but we probably now have turned 4 potential listings into real listings because of Zavvy. And it was funny, we were on one listing appointment and we've been working on her for about a month. And then she just called me. She's like, you told me you can get me an all cash offer, right? And I'm like, yeah. So she goes, tell me what that's going to be. And I said, well, it's going to be a lot less than what your value is. And this was just a little condo and we had valued it at 700. And we just got the number back this morning and Zavvy came in at 659. So that's a pretty damn good offer. So she's probably going to take that and I don't have to do anything and I get my 3% or 2.5%. So yeah, Zavvy's definitely picking up my speed on pipeline, and it also creates a conversation with the sellers of, here's your options. Here are the options. So if you guys don't know what Zavvy is, I'm sure you'll know soon when when Colleen brings it into the marketplace. But yeah, it's been really fruitful on that one.
And you mentioned value proposition. What is your value proposition as saying you weren't people?
My number one value proposition, and it's kind of tacky. I mean, some people say, oh, it's kind of tacky or it's quirky, whatever. I guarantee to sell your home in 30 days or I'll buy it. I didn't have the or I'll buy it when I started it, just so FYI. So I would get a lot of calls on what's this guarantee to sell my home in 30 days? How does that work? And I said, well, if you put it at my price, and by the way, you guys can all use that. It's not patented or anything, so you can all use that. And I'd get the calls though. It created a call from the consumer of how does this work? And I said, well, if you price it at my price, it says right on the bottom, according to broker's price opinion, which is going to be about 20% less than what the value is, then I can guarantee to sell it. And I think that's true for all of you, right? If you can take a listing that's 20% below market, you can almost guarantee. And they said, well, what if you don't sell it in 30 days? You know what my answer is? Then you can cancel the listing. So they're like, oh, okay, well, can I see you? And I'm like, sure. I never, ever in my 6 years have had to use it, but it's created a lot of calls. So now, because I have Zavvy and I have investors that are willing to buy properties at 20% below market, I say, guarantee to sell your home in less than 30 days or we will buy it. So that's one of my value propositions. And then I think the other one is true customer service. I have an 18-point marketing guarantee, which once again, if Colleen asks me, I'll send it over to you guys. And it's just basically everything an agent does. And I say, if we don't do all these 18 items, you can cancel the listing. So I'm just reassuring the consumer that we're going to perform at a very high level. And if we're not, you're able to cancel the listing. Never had a listing canceled, by the way. Yeah.
Of course not. Of course not. All right, awesome. So now as a listing agent, what are you and your sellers looking for in the offers that are coming in this multiple offer situation?
That's a great question. I'm going to share with you guys one I had 11 offers on one, actually 12, but 11 offers. And I came out to shoot and this agent called me and she was really pleasant. And we got along really well. She asked me the right questions. She said, what is it going to take this thing off the market? Here's where my buyers are. Here's what I can send you all the qualifications. So I made the call to my seller, and she came in about 10% over list. And I said to my seller, look, it's no appraisal contingency because I don't think it was going to appraise at 10% over list. There's no appraisal contingency. It's a slam dunk. It's a 20% down. I think we should take it. She said, well, what if other offers come in at a higher price? I said, well, it could, but it could not. So because I had such a nice conversation with that agent, and I guess my point is, number one is be really nice to that other agent, that's the listing agent, and just try to, and some listing agents aren't nice, I know, and they're not going to give you anything, but I really want, like right now we have 50 million in listing inventory. I need this stuff to move. So if I get somebody that's really nice, and I always say, look, I'm looking for a drama-free escrow. I do not want drama. I don't want a whole laundry list of things. So those things, and she already had covered that. Like, we're not going to ask for anything unless it's major. And even if it's major, we'll work through it. I just want to work with you. And she was so nice that I really pushed her offer. And I got it accepted that night. Didn't even counter because it was so clean because she paid for escrow. I said, look, I want escrow fees paid. I want this, I want that. She gave it all to me in the offer. So I didn't even have to counter, and we just signed off. The next 3 days, I received 11 offers. And guess what? They were for higher prices. So I said to my seller's like, well, we left a lot of money on the table. And I said, we really didn't, because we don't know if these will ever close. But let me ask these other two buyers if they're willing to go back up. And they did. So I said, we're guaranteed now. And on top of that, if this buyer's agent asked me for a request for repairs, I'm going to say I have a higher price on the table ready to go. You really want to ask me for things. So I think just the process of being really nice to the listing agent, try to make the phone call, try to talk to them. Don't just text, just say, do you have a few minutes? I just need to talk to you about thinking of submitting an offer. I really want to talk to you about it before I submit it because I want to make sure we're on the same page. Those kind of things, you're going to get a phone call from me. Okay. I want to work with somebody that's communicating and responding. And we're about to close on that deal, by the way. We're closing this week. So it was a clean, easy 30. She didn't even ask for anything. It was awesome. Exactly what I predicted. So drama-free. So, I got to see a lot of 3% and 5% offers. And I will be honest with you, there were only, out of those 11, there were only 3 that were 20% downs. So I really think there was only 3 real offers. In my opinion, as an agent, I'm going to look for the highest down payment, because even though you have a 3% and a 5% down, and you have a letter that says you're qualified, in my opinion, that property is going to be harder to qualify with a 3 or 5% down. So it's just like over here, we compete with all cash offers. So I try to get my buyers or my buyer's agents to see if we can't get one that there's no loan, there's no appraisal contingency, they're fully underwritten if it's possible, or they can show proof of funds for that amount. So we don't have a loan contingency, because that's what we're competing against. It's basically all cash. So if you're dealing with buyers that are 3% and 5%ers and you're competing against 20% downs, it's going to be challenging unless you've created an amazing relationship with that agent, or that agent. You're probably going to be at the bottom of the pile, like most of the offers were. So, and my explanation to my seller, just FYI, was when she said 810 was the on the table, and I said, doesn't mean that it's going to close. And my job is to recommend what's going to close, and the first one is going to close. So she's like, okay, I get it. Yeah. So I'm looking for that. What really, really helps, and I know it's quirky again, but I'm a listing agent. I want to know that agent has spent some time on that offer, is just not wiping out sending me an offer. I want to know that that agent has made a phone call to me or text me, hey, by the way, I just submitted an offer. Please call me if you have any questions. Just full on communication, because that's what I'm looking for when I'm looking at an offer. So if you're not communicating, if you're just submitting your offer and hoping for the best, probably not a good idea. Does that answer your question?
Perfectly, thank you. And the same question we ask every guest. We have this every month, and it's the same response. It's really communication relationship, because if that's going to tell you what you're about to embark on for the next 30 plus days, potentially.
That's correct. That's
exactly.
correct.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's everything is communication. And I will be honest with you, all my escrows that I have in right now, thank God, knock on wood, is the other agent is responding in a timely fashion, is communicates with me. If they can't get on the phone, they're sending me a text message. They're not avoiding me. They're, so that kind of stuff, because guess what? You may not only have one transaction. Like I have a new listing coming up right now, and it's coming on Friday. Today I'm picking up the call and calling 5 of my great agents out there that I know that work the area to let them know and say, hey, do you have a buyer for this? Because I'm going to work with you.
Mm-hmm.
Got it? So that's really, really important, how you treat that other agent. And because now I have 5 people that are working my area that compete with me, that I'm going to call them and see if they'll sell it, because I want to work with them, because I know how they work.
Exactly. I love that. What about, are you doing, you mentioned the 18-point seller list. What are those, anything specific that we can learn quickly?
It's really just breaking down everything that an agent does, putting up for sale sign, put it in the MLS, weekly marketing, social media. I just break it all down, but it looks like a lot. It's an 18-point marketing guarantee.
Well, do you ever do, I guess a better question is, do you ever have the seller do a home inspection prior to going active, just so you know what you may be coming?
I would probably say 1%.
Okay.
And you know what? I'll be honest with you. I submitted an offer on a property, or one of my buyer's agents submitted an offer, and they automatically sent us everything, the inspection, the termite, everything. And I thought, wow, that's pretty impressive. But most sellers in my marketplace do not do on it. This one was in Torrance, so it was in our marketplace. But in our marketplace, no. But if you guys are doing it over there, I think that's a great idea, because it creates another conversation with your seller. This is what could come up, and so you're addressing it, beforehand.
Mm-hmm. Right, and know what you potentially have to negotiate after.
Exactly. So, and if you tell your seller, look, we're probably gonna have to give in $10,000, and you don't, they feel like you're a hero, because they're already counting on that $10,000 credit.
Exactly. They just netted 10 more grand. I love it.
There you go.
You mentioned for lead generation, let's just chat quickly about, you do mailers monthly. You have now the bus going down Venice Boulevard.
I do.
Grocery store, the carts, and then the those little checkout.
And also I have someone door knocking every single day.
Well, we can't door knock yet. Dropping right now.
Well, we drop things off.
Yes.
Okay. We'll reword it. Drop offs.
Yes.
So we have drop offs, and he's been working on it for probably a year and a half. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't think he was going to make it. And this year, he's my top producer on my team. And why? It's because those 18 months of work and creating relationships, guess what? They're all coming to point. His pipeline is now becoming active. Mm-hmm. And it's insane. I mean, it's literally insane. He's got me at least at 1 listing appointment a week.
Wow.
And so that's even motivating him even more to get out there. And I'm going to just share with you guys one very important thing that happened to me and my team. So we had a private showing, open house. So it's not an open house, it's private showing. And it was near the beach. So my agents each one of them did an open house, or a Saturday or a Sunday, private showing. I shouldn't say open house, private showings between 1 and 3. And they all came back and said, oh, it's okay. We got about 3 people. And there wasn't much traffic. I'm like, okay, great. Or, whatever. Well, this particular gentleman that door knocked, what did he do? It was really slow. I think he got 2 people that day. So he decided to go and door knock the units and just let everybody know that that unit was for sale. And there happened to be a lady that she's moving to Arkansas at the end of May, and we went on that listing appointment. We're getting it for 1.3 million. So all my other ones just complained that there was nothing, there's no traffic. He created opportunity. That's all.
Absolutely. And it's so important, 18 months. So you can't give up too soon.
No. He didn't hit his first one, I think, until probably the 14th month.
Wow.
Yeah.
During a pandemic, you would think.
During a pandemic, he was sitting and dropping off mailers. He was actually checking on the relationships that he had and asking them if they needed anything. So he has like about 20 people that he's like working very fruitfully with. So during the pandemic, he actually reached out to them and said, I'm here for you. If you need me to go get groceries, you need me to do anything, I'm available.
Creating that relationship that isn't just about real estate. That's awesome.
That's correct.
What about, does your team do any calling of your past clients in database?
So we do email blast to our database. We're just starting to use Command. So sorry, but we were trying to figure out the best CRM program. And guess what? After 4 months of studies, Command seemed to be the best one to fit our team. So that's what we're doing. I did have a cold caller, and got me results, but unfortunately he had to move on to something else. And now I'm in the process of hiring another cold caller. I ran into a buyer's agent the other day that I'm trying to recruit, and she started in November, which is in the middle of the pandemic. And she has closed 7 transactions since then. And I said, how did you do it? And her answer was cold calling. I said, really? She's like, yeah, I just pick up the phone and I just keep calling. And there's people that want to talk to me. I go, that's amazing. She does it at a very high level.
So. That she does. You got a cold caller, and now you got a door dropper. Perfect.
There you go.
Awesome. Well, Rick, my last question for today is, what might be one or two of your top scripts for those sellers that may feel as if they can't find a replacement property, that it's too scary out there right now to think about putting their house on the market?
That's great. Well, I have this amazing solution. It's called the Modern Bridge. And Modern Bridge is, we're going to go ahead and sell your home, and you get to live in it for the next 12 months at market rent until we find your replacement property. How does that sound?
It sounds okay. Is it going to cost me money?
Yes, it will. It'll cost you 3%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So that's one of my scripts now that I have that. But before that, depending on what place they were moving to, it depended on my script. And one thing I would always recommend to people is, if I knew that it was going to be really close to impossible to find them a replacement property right away. So I'd say, you probably don't want to buy right now. This is the time to sell. And then maybe you go rent for 12 months and then see where the market is. Not everyone can do that, but certain people could. Yeah, those are my basic scripts. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, does anyone else have any questions for Rick? We didn't have anything in the chat, but I want to give everyone a voice if they had something to ask. I appreciate the time today, Rick.
My pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Well, there's no questions. Thank you for your time. Congratulations to you and your team, and outpacing and on your way to your $100 million goal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you guys want any information, just reach out to Colleen and I'll get you that information.
Perfect. Thank you, Rick. Bye.